Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Hey,
I'm Trevor Buzak.
Oh my god! Why?
Thanks for gracing me again.
That's
With
English, right? It's tough.
This is your resident American from the Lone Star State.
oh,
Okay,
we're a podcast of lies.
I don't know what's going on. Colin, anything you want to add to this?
I'll add my voice to the equation, but I'm rather terrified of the how big he is. Actually, everything is bigger in Texas. He's 7'5".
Mm-hmm.
He actually looks a little bit like a Primaris.
Sorry.
330
I don't like going
pounds.
330 pounds.
I was thinking more like a primate, but
You are rather.
I
Scruffy and
haven't
hairy,
shaved in a while. My hair's getting longer.
Your face or your back.
You shave your back?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
It was a joke.
I don't get hair on my back.
oh.
Trevor Buzak likes to make jokes.
He's not good at it. Trevor Busek needs to leave. You can't sit with us.
Well,
Warhammer. Yeah. At some point, we should probably talk about 40K.
no.
Probably. But actually, before we even step into 40K, there's a couple things we need to take care of. Number one being a thank you to our newest Patreons.
Patrons.
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 Our patrons. Yeah.
Which way is the right way?
No, patrons.
Patrons.
Which way is the way Eric says?
Okay, sorry,
Patreons.
what did I say?
You said Patreon.
And what did you say?
Patron.
That's what I said.
Oh,
Bitch.
Fuck.
Thank you to Daniel, who has joined the ranks of people that give us money. And
Wow.
to Nix Zwar. I kept saying that over and over. Nix Zwar. You know, like trying to run it together, see if it was like a thing. I don't think it is. I think I'm just crazy.
No. There are other languages out there. Maybe it's in another language.
Not real ones.
True.
I mean, if I don't speak it, is it? Sounds like gibberish to me. You know.
I should play that video for you sometime. It's what English sounds like to non-English speakers.
Sounds like English.
It sounds like English.
Well, no. We'll find it. Maybe we'll put it out. But
I just want you to know that if I hear English, it sounds like English.
that's
to
true.
me.
You know, because
You know what language doesn't exist though? Australian. Australia does not exist.
How could they have a language?
It's a
if they-
government conspiracy.
It is.
I was thinking it was more like Atlantis. You know, this incredibly like
Atlantis, Australia.
No, Atlantis is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plato talks about it.
Yeah.
It's a real place.
There's like one reference to it in all of history.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it's not real.
Yeah.
if they had a wiki for Atlantis back then, you know, it would have had like
Right, exactly.
one entry
No,
would have been and Atlantis rises out of the ocean exactly when it needs to at the exact precise moment.
It knows the perfect time to strike.
It makes sense, yeah.
The reason that no one talks about Atlantis is because no one talks about paper either. It's just there. Everybody knows about it. It's too common a thing. Why would you bother writing it down? You know,
Well, you know what Atlantis is?
it's a dream.
It's a dream. It's a civilization. It's a place. And what are we talking about today?
Oh, God.
Places.
I've never been to any of these places we're about to talk about.
This is like your.
Well, you'll never be to Australia because it doesn't exist.
That's a fact.
But you might be to some of these places.
How did the crocodile Dundee hurt you, Jordan? Did he? He's like, look at Jordan in his habitat. I'm gonna go over there and shove my finger in his face and see what happens.
It doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy.
Jordan actually looks really comfortable right now.
It is.
Did we buy the wrong chairs? I
Yeah,
think we might have.
He's in like a stuffed chair, leaning back.
No, these chairs would be like so hard to transport if we were to. use
We're
chairs
about
like-
longevity and quality, Jordan.
You look
not
very
ease of
comfortable with like a
access.
glass of whiskey or something.
No,
like,
exactly.
we're
A smoking
Yeah, we're all
jacket.
sitting on like hobbled chairs, and he's sitting there like he's lounging, the most interesting man in the world.
Like there should be a fireplace behind him or something.
Yeah.
A small puppy running around.
Fuck.
What? Trevor.
It's Corey. It's Corey Buzak.
Trevor's older brother. But we also have a shout out to do in this episode.
That was a smooth transition there, Eric.
There's no easy transition for anything
so
that we
who
do.
are we shouting out to?
There's a Friday Gaming Guild in Vancouver. They contacted us talking about how, they started picking up 40K and then how they're trying to figure out more stuff about it, and then how listening to the podcast has been like a really easy way for them to engage in like the story of 40K. Yeah, it was pretty cool to hear about them. So to all you guys in the Friday Gaming Guild in Vancouver, mazel tov to us, right?
Always remember, mucho mustapan el diablo.
Por favor.
Sí. Yes. Always remember that.
This is a global production. We've got a gaming guild from one province over.
They speak Spanish there, right?
No, they speak everything there.
Oh, perfect.
So hopefully we can get some other groups messaging us and seeing how they're maybe incorporating the lore into their gaming group or into creating different scenarios or narratives for their games. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, don't just message us though, asking us to do Dark Angel episodes.
Fuck,
because it's not going to happen.
It's never gonna happen.
We're not doing chapters.
Yeah, next person to send me
we're blacklisting you.
Blacklisting. Yeah, I will be sending a bomb to your house.
Okay,
that's on the record.
No, do you know? There was a teen in Florida. Actually, he made like a post on Discord. He's like, I'm gonna go to my school and I'm gonna bring my dad's AR-15 and I'm gonna shoot like 10 people.
Yeah,
arrested, charged, convicted.
Perfect.
Like,
that person probably didn't give off stable vibes, but I give off vibes of stability.
Yeah, but is that really how you see yourself?
Yeah, very stable.
You have a very weird mirror.
He's not shaking right now, so that's good.
I'm only partly drunk.
It's 9 a.m, Mark.
Also, this is Trevor Busak.
Get it together.
So, just remember that. Everything that this man says is
just remember that saying stuff is apparently enough to get you charged now with like a terror charge.
Well, the only thing is
it's gone so askew.
I know.
No, if you're making your intention known and you have the ability to carry out that intention.
You don't know how to make a bomb? It's easy.
No, but he said
you're enriched uranium.
No, he said
make yourself a nuclear
bomb. I'm saying just with that guy, he was using a gun, right? Not a bomb. So.
Intent is action. Like when you are at the table and you're like, I would like this model.
Welcome to Legal Cast.
Yeah,
where we got all your terrorist cast legal needs.
No.
Tell us more, Colin, of how we can avoid the law while committing terrorist acts.
Don't commit terrorist acts. One, don't think about.
Why are you winking?
Acts.
Don't talk on Discord about your intention to commit.
This is a terrible medium for us to be having this discussion.
You're winking as if I should be committing terrorist.
Not today, NSA.
Oh gosh.
Or tomorrow, please.
Please don't raid our houses tomorrow.
Please don't SWAT us.
Don't worry. But if they came in here, they'd have to talk to my mom for a half hour.
That's right. That giving us enough time to get out the back window.
Half hour to escape.
Perfect. That sounds great to me.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's talk about
supporting us on Patreon. Give us your money. We want to buy a camera. Okay, let's talk about the episode. Imperial Planet Classification.
Episode 54. Imperial Planet Classification. So in this episode, we are going to go over
the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Every planet
by planet, we're going to talk about how it would be classified within the Imperium. So we'll start alphabetically.
Yeah.
The first planet is Terra, alphabetically.
Alphabetically correct, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important it
Holy Terra.
Jumps the... Still doesn't help alphabetically.
Our Holy Terra.
You're making it worse.
Absolute Holy Terra.
I was just thinking that if we were to do all the... planets of the galaxy, we should do it like that old Animaniacs, countries of the world, like United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador too.
How do you know all that?
He did. $5 says he Googled it right now.
Yeah, he's got it pulled up on his computer.
Yeah.
We're on to your
Colin. No, he's not. He's not on it.
Oh,
wow. He's just weird.
Just a weird man.
It's just weird.
33.
A couple people messaged us about that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, about how wild that was. Anyways, we should talk about Imperial planets.
But first, we're going to talk about the galaxy as a whole.
That's right. We'd like to talk about this one thing. But first, we're not going to talk about it.
Listen to these ads
about
the galaxy. So the galaxy is broken up into 5 different segmentums. From the largest to the smallest, they are the Ultima segmentum. the segmentum obscurus, the segmentum tempestus, the segmentum pacificus, and the segmentum solar.
The Ultima segmentum, which is the largest, lies in the galactic east. It more than doubles the size of the other segmentums, and it creates a triangle shape from the center of the galaxy to the northeast and to the southeast corners. An absolute massive slice of the pie.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why they made that one so big. Why would they do that?
'Cause you don't need a reason or rhyme.
It's the Imperium.
Yeah, when you're the administratum.
Yes.
They just threw darts at a board of the map, and they're like, well, this is how it is, I guess.
Guess that's the way she is.
Yeah.
Within this segmentum, though, there lies countless things. Like we
Important things.
Yeah, but we're covering the entire galaxy, so we're gonna miss stuff. There's stuff.
Yeah, all we're putting in
But-
here is the stuff we care about.
And not even at that, because the first thing we wrote down is the home of the Ultramarines and their 500 worlds. Who gives a fuck?
Me.
Not one single person ever would
Wow.
care.
But it's the boys in blue.
This
Thin blue line.
this also contains the largest Necron dynasty, the Sotek dynasty. It also contains the largest Tau Empire, the Tau Empire of 4 worlds. It also has the largest Orc Empire called Charadon.
Yeah, the largest and the longest standing Orc Empire.
It's pretty big. It's a pretty big
It's
place.
absolutely massive.
And this is also one of the spots where the Tyranids have started to breach from the southeast.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on in this segmentum, but because it's so spread out, it doesn't really feel like crowded.
We're
something.
talking about half the galaxy. Like Bale's in this segmentum. Like I'm sure half a dozen other well-known Space Marine chapters are Imperial Guard planets. Like there's so much stuff. Why we chose these ones?
I don't know.
Because that's how we do it.
We threw darts at a board.
We threw cut a chicken's head off.
Yeah, and let it run around until it stopped and
Yeah.
determined. That's sounds fine to me.
A cool feature about this segmentum too, with the new timeline, or the
Advancement of the
advancing
story.
time, is Cicadictrix Maledictum has what?
You'll get it eventually.
The Dickus.
You added too many dixes.
Cicadictrix Maledictum. Cicatrix.
There you
we
go.
go.
Cicadictrix.
Yep.
Cicadictrix. No, that's it. That's how it's written down. But it's actually cut this segmentum in half. I like how you checked. Is that how it's written down?
I wrote these.
You dumb bitch. It's cut this segmentum in half.
Yeah, so the northern part of the segmentum, the Ultima segmentum, has joined the Imperium Nihilus.
Yeah.
And the southern part has remained in the Imperium.
I love that name, Nihilus, for like the other half of the galaxy. I think that was just a really good like narrative choice to call it that, because it's the side of the galaxy without light. There's no hope. Like you were cut off from everything. It really does fit the setting quite well.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great choice.
Yeah.
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 Tell us more, Colin.
Yeah.
That's it.
Come on.
Did you like it? Was it as good for you as it was for Games Workshop?
It was. I didn't even have to cuddle after.
Yeah. No, I do like it too. It's a good name.
I do feel like a lot of this episode could actually be boiled down into like a travel industry commercial. Like we're talking about going around the galaxy. It's like, back to the old ways, find your way to this side of the galaxy.
Sure.
There's traditions
Like
of
like you get handed a brochure
Yeah.
on like the Imperium Nihilus and the Ultimate segmentum. Like
ancient unexplored caverns exist.
Look
Come
at Ball.
Yeah.
Check out the wastelands. Feed the mutants.
Explore the wonders of beauty and mystery.
Laugh at the Tau Empire.
See the scenic vistas and wonders. And it's just like dead world. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't trust this brochure.
No, it's Imperial propaganda.
And you said that the Tower Empire was in the Imperium Nihilist.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I was more thinking Ultimate
You
segmentum.
dumb bitch!
fact check.
Doesn't even matter. They can't see it anyways.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I'm sure lots of
It's a
people
great
live
place.
there.
Lots of people, lots of worlds.
Lots of aliens. There's things. Let's talk about the next one.
Yeah.
Segmentum Obscurus.
And this is located in the galactic north for 10,000 years.
You got trigger words, and that's one of them.
Oh, that's definitely
10,000 years is one of them. Anytime you say God, that's another trigger word. what was the other one?
The people.
The people, that's a trigger word.
Like, I'm very one-dimensional.
Oh, shattered. Shattered is
Wow.
a triggered word for you.
Wow.
Shattered.
Leave me alone. I'm just a little guy. So for 10,000 years, the Segmentum Obscurus.
How long?
10,000 years.
It was one of the only ways that the forces of chaos could reliably enter the galaxy, and this is because the Eye of Terror was here.
Yeah.
But since the Great Rift, the threat of chaos is now galaxy-wide, but the Eye of Terror is still the most stable doorway from the warp into the Materium.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another interesting feature of this segmentum is the Nachmund Gauntlet, which is we wrote here is the only stable route through the Great Rift, but there's actually two.
Is there?
Yeah.
Where's the other one?
I don't know, but I do know
Is it
there's
in the galaxy?
two.
Because Vigilus is the first one that was like very
and
fleshed out.
That's in
narrative,
this
and
one,
that's
in Nachmund.
And there's another one, I think, further to the southeast of the galactic plane.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's in like the Ultima segmentum.
I'm sure they
somewhere.
make more and more of these too. As
Well, if they have the blackstone pylons and they're able to find ways to carve through, that would be
or
a way
even
of connecting
just
back with Imperium.
discovering new ones.
Yeah.
Like as of right
Yeah,
now.
it's
The
covering
galaxy.
the entire
Yeah.
galaxy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of like exploring, like back in the age of sail. You know, you're trying to find this new passageway. It's like the Northwest Passage. How am I going to get through? You're like
Arctic.
history. No, you don't.
No,
know. So-
I'm thinking about eating my best friend on the journey.
No, did you guys hear about the road that's going to go through the Arctic Circle?
No, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like a ring road.
We do a Lorehammer road trip where we record as we go up, and more nihilism seeps in. Mark starts to go crazy. Jordan's already like eating his own like fingernails by like day 2, and we haven't even like crossed the northern border. He's just weird like that.
By the end of it, all of us just have like runic scars carved into our bodies everywhere.
faces.
Our eyes are gone because we've popped them out.
We look like a combination of word bearers and event horizons. It's just like
Yeah, but apparently a road, like it's been talked about going through the Arctic Circle, and now everything's.
That's
like,
not going to be allowed though.
China will benefit the most from this road.
No.
China.
China.
We'll finally be able to drive to the ice wall.
Yeah. Is
that how-
it'll stop?
It's a circle. Ice wall around a disc. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
No,
we can't.
yeah,
get to
it'll never happen because
of the ice wall.
yeah,
that's where Santa is, right? That's what we're talking about.
Santa is just an anagram for Satan.
Fuck.
True.
Your mom did a number to you. She messed you up.
We're not done talking about the Segmentum Obscurus, though, which is the northernmost segmentum. The Imperium Nihilus also stretches into the northern space of the Segmentum Obscurus because the Great Rift actually goes through the Eye of Terror. So, portion of the segmentum is within the Imperium Nihilus, and a portion is within the regular Imperium.
Yeah. Yeah. There's planets there.
Sure. The Eye of Terror is the biggest feature in that segmentum.
There's tons of places like Armageddon's here.
Not anymore. Just
Space
kidding.
Wolf's
Oh no, I was
place is
thinking
here.
Acadia. Acadia was here, but not anymore.
There's a bunch of places. I'm sure there's an Orc Empire.
Armageddon.
Oh, yeah. One
The
planet.
most
planet empire.
successful
My God. I
Orc Empire.
Let's talk about the Segmentus Tempestus. The Segmentum Tempestus.
Yes.
Is in the galactic south and has remained relatively untouched by chaos. Just because
It's so far away
from the Eye of Terror.
Yeah, but now that Chaos is kind of more of a galaxy player, it obviously is just going to ramp up.
Yeah, and there's always warp storms popping up in every segmentum, and you know. The big thing about this segmentum though is some Tyranid tendrils have begun to assault this segmentum. Like the Nids are coming from the galactic like southeast.
Southeast, yeah.
So-
And beginning to reach towards the center.
Yeah.
I think the one that would make it the most threatening is if they had one start to come in from the like, galactic north, like northwest. You're thinking,
Yeah, then
is
you'd be
this
like,
the
oh,
beginning
no.
of a huge?
Yeah,
like,
have
a
we been
huge maw?
encircled?
Yeah, like are each of these high fleets just a tooth, and the mouth is still about to wrap around our galaxy? So
They're just little feeder tongues.
they are, yeah, just like that.
Mandibles. Yeah. Another notable feature about the Segmentum Tempestus is
Very notable.
Yeah, the death planet of Krieg.
It's not yeah, there's places there.
Krieg is there, which is the death core of Krieg, the Really cool looking.
They're the army for people who really want to spend a lot of money
Yeah.
and do it right.
Jeez.
There's places. There are places everywhere. The Segmentum Pacificus. This lies to the west of Terra and occupies a minute space on the fringe of the galaxy.
Yeah, it's very small. Absolutely tiny.
Yeah, not the tiniest, but yeah. Since the Great Rift, anti-imperial uprisings overtook most of Segmentum, and this was orchestrated by the forces of chaos. And yeah, much of this Segmentum is now not in communication.
Yeah, they're in riot mode.
Yeah, and you can't contact half the Segmentum.
Riot mode. Is that from something?
No.
Okay, just me.
Right, punch, however.
Yeah,
That'll get you going.
Riot punch.
Yeah.
And then last but most definitely not least is the Segmentum Solar. And the Segmentum Solar is in the galactic center and a little bit to the west. Its shape is that of a circle, and then every other segmentum creates triangles out of that circle. It is the segmentum most densely settled by humanity. And within it lies Terra, the birthplace of humanity and the throne of the Emperor. And most, if not all, but not all, Xenos have been pushed out of this segmentum.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy to think about how, like, big humanity's footprint is within the galaxy.
Oh yeah.
So like you'll find maps that show like, hey, this is like the Orc Empire, and this is
yeah,
like
yeah.
Necron dynasties or like Chaos Worlds. But
Little did you know that on every one of those maps, all the spots that are left black is Imperium.
right, no, like literally you could just circle the entire galaxy
Yeah.
and be like, this is humanity's, which is really cool to think about.
When you think of the scope of other like Xenos empires of the Necron or the Eldar, how at times they have either aspired to or had large holdings across the entire galaxy, although it's not present in 40K, that humanity getting to that like that peak of civilization across the stars is really impressive when you think about like what our limits are. This also goes back to the
we're
Great
not
Crusade.
long-lived.
Yeah, we are very weak, fleshy people. Right, it's only like by relying on machines that we can.
Yeah. And what's crazy too is a bunch of those other empires, they might have like held the galaxy, but they
never
did.
colonized it.
That's the thing.
The Eldar, Necron were a little more widespread.
Yeah.
But the Eldar, they mainly stuck to like their area around the Eye of Terror.
Yeah. Yeah. So
they had like their Crone Worlds.
it's a lot of stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
business going on.
It's hard to be on top though when you've got your resources spread across the entire galaxy and everything is trying to come at you.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly what I meant. That was actually quoted by the Emperor of Mankind himself.
That's right.
I will clad you in the greatest armor. Started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
He's looking out at the Great Crusade. Horus is at his side. He's like, Horus, you're the War Master now. Start from the bottom. Now we're here. Peace out. Yeet yeet. And then he peaced.
And the heresy
Back to
began on
Terra.
that day. He's like, what the hell?
Horus is like, I cannot let this stand. That's exactly what happened.
So going from a segmentum, you parse it down, and then you have the next, which is a sector.
Yes.
Sectors are regions of space roughly 200 light years cubes big, and each sector is further broken up into subsectors.
How did you? What's the proper way of saying that, Jordan? You said it last time.
I think it's cubed, square. I don't know.
Not cubes.
No.
No, it's not square because that'd be a flat.
it's not
surface.
Square would be flat.
Yeah,
Cubic. It had
Cubic.
It had the word cubic in it.
maybe. Cubic light years.
This is
Like
important.
200
This is
cubic light
important
years.
Yeah,
That's what it
information.
was.
Yeah.
I'm changing that right now because that's bugging me.
Oh yes, okay.
So each
Edit the
sector
notes
ranges
that were
from
passed.
10 to 20 light years in diameter, and they're broken into organized measurements. So subsectors are a little more fluid because boundaries are always being pushed and broken back by invasions, encroachments, raids.
Yeah.
So-
Sometimes like there's not even anything in that
Yeah.
area, so it won't even be
Yeah.
a
So if we think of like the national boundaries of like if we were to use nation, that would be our segmentums. But like the state borders are the subsectors, and those can like move a lot more frequently as an orc empire ravages several, human colonies, for example, and pushes that boundary back. I don't imagine that the Imperium is too good at updating their records, and let's be fair, whenever we update our own world maps, and then we have to try to disseminate that, this is going to be a lot more fluid. Of you may go
It's like gerrymandering.
sure, yeah. You may want to go to a subsector because it's a Imperial holding, and then by the time you get there in like 20 real years, it's already been overtaken by a Tyranid hive fleet. So you're like, whoops, got to turn around. But by that point, you've been encroached, you're devoured, and that's the end of your journey.
You joined the hive mind. Congratulations. You did it.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. Did we cover everything about sectors and subsectors?
Pretty much, yep.
You did it. So efficiently. Systems are the next thing. A system is a cluster of planets and satellites that revolve around a single star. Human naming conventions mean that the most capital worlds are named for the system itself, or vice versa.
Yeah, so you get like the Cadian system with the planet Cadia.
Yeah,
the
its
Ball
capital.
system with the planet Ball. Bale? How do you say it?
I would say Bale.
I prefer not to talk about Space Marines ever, so I don't say it. I just got so many looks from the room. I love it.
Was it Mark and Christian were chatting last night, and Christian's like, hey, did you see this? And Mark's like, I hate it. And Christian's like, do you just hate everything? Which is funny coming from Christian. Yes. Both of you guys hate everything.
That's true.
Including you.
Yeah. I don't know why I stay here. I must hate myself. So yeah, we've gone from segmentums to sectors to subsectors to systems, and finally, what makes up systems is the people inside of it.
Oh my god.
Talking about you, Jordan, and Colin, and Trevor. Yeah, we have planets now.
Okay, this is the meat of the episode now.
Yeah,
we made it into
all right, we're ready to start episode 54.
Imperial classification.
That's right.
We made it.
Okay, so the kind of like the first way that a planet can be categorized is through a very simple geographical or like a topographical designation. So you like a planet is given like a description based on a dominant feature that it has.
Yeah.
And
So it'd be a desert world,
Yeah.
an ice world, a jungle world, an ocean world, a gas giant.
and obviously
so on
like
and so forth.
like Earth,
Yeah.
let's use Earth as an example, is 70% covered by water. This would be categorized as like an ocean world.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about because there's nothing, like we don't do anything with the ocean.
We
right?
do.
We're all
We pollute it.
sure. I mean, we're building Garbage Island.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually
Once Garbage Island's done, we can finally
we can
settle
finally
the
go
ocean.
settle the ocean. Yeah, and it'll just keep growing, which is good. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I say we ship all the homeless people to Garbage Island, right?
So,
Defication.
are you gonna be there?
I'm a home.
No, you have a garage. There's a difference.
I will say there is something called seasteading.
There's what? Sorry, what?
Something called seasteading.
The creation of islands.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
either
China's been
both
doing
are.
it for years.
No, it's not. It's like a floating city. It's not an island. It's like a. It would be like a boat, but it stays in one spot.
Like Atlantis.
Something like that. It comes out of the ocean.
Yeah, but no one. Like, is this a pipe dream or is this a thing that?
People have been starting to like Peter Thiel has put like millions of dollars into
Peter
it.
Thiel, of course.
Yeah, but he's not
Great
like.
man.
Is it a state?
Famous
Is it creating a nation or is it just like a single person?
That's the idea. There are like individuals who have started doing it, but
Sure.
I like
it
that
hasn't
one.
like.
That's like
the
saying-
idea ultimately is to seize.
That's like saying Elon Musk is like going to the moon and populating the moon because he happens to have a spaceship. So anyone who happens to have a boat and go out on the ocean is seasteading.
no, they're creating
The important,
home.
the important things here.
a home on the ocean.
Where?
In anywhere in the ocean.
Where is he doing it? I'm curious.
I'm not sure exactly what ocean. Yeah.
Anyways,
I like the one guy who bought an abandoned oil rig and started a cult on it and created his own country.
That's awesome.
That actually sounds like the beginning of a 40K story that you have to go in and like route them out.
yeah, it's a cult.
No, but all I'm saying is like with future technology, like it's not inconceivable that people would build entire cities on top of the ocean.
No, we've seen it in Star Wars already. Geonosis.
Waterworld.
No,
Never
not
crossed it.
Geonosis.
I like Kevin
Quite the
Costner.
opposite.
yeah. Geonosis is a desert planet. What's the...
Kimura.
No. You're just trying to trick me.
Yeah, I was hoping you would agree with me. Yeah. Colin's typing.
I'm trying to think of it. What is that planet?
It's got clone troopers on
Yes,
it.
it does. It's at the center of the galaxy, and it's
Oh,
disappearing from the records of the Jedi
I
Order.
don't remember.
You dumb bitches! I'm
Who
not even
cares?
Star Camino.
Camino. That's right. Like Komodo dragon.
Oh my god. Anyways, so planets are
You can describe them based on something on the planet itself.
And by calling like Earth a water world, we know it's not a water world. Doesn't mean that the entire planet. It's not like most sci-fi's where
It's all one thing. No,
Yeah.
there's stable and unstable. Like you can have other elements on it, but what is
Yeah.
the world primarily defined as?
exactly.
What's the biggest feature on it?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So that's the very first thing you can look at when you're looking at a planet.
It's the easiest thing to look
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
So some of the distinctive environments are desert worlds, ice worlds, jungle worlds, ocean worlds, gas giants. Pretty much pick any sort of trope of
Volcano worlds.
what is the environmental factor? That plus world.
Yeah.
Glass world, diamond world,
Ooh, I like Diamond World.
diamond world.
Everyone's rich.
There's comets made of pure diamond floating around.
I've heard that I think Jupiter is like much of its surface. They would describe it as diamond. It's just like the gases have compressed so hard that it's created, diamonds and stuff.
We're gonna mine it.
Yeah.
Is it possible
then-
to buy Jupiter?
Yeah, did you?
You don't have to buy it. You just have to be the first person there, and it's yours.
Claim it in the land
Yeah.
for the land of Mark.
Yeah. if you can get there, buddy, it's all yours.
Yeah.
Another
to
way
Jupiter.
to classify planets is based on the inhabitants. So these worlds can be classified as demons, xenos, the different types of imperial holdings. This gives a greater distinction of who are the people living there.
Yeah,
because-
and usually it's defined by a sentient species. Like
Yes, you're not defining Earth like insects.
Ants.
Insects are like the most like common
a water world,
animal.
water ant world. is
Right,
Earth.
yeah. But yeah, like they're describing it through a sentient or like a dominant race.
Yeah.
Or species.
Yeah. So Colin named a few. We'll jump into kind of some of them and tell more. So we'll start with Demon Worlds. These worlds have spent far too long within Chaos Rift and have become twisted by the powers of the warp. Their masters can reshape the planet to their desires.
Now, when I first heard about Demon Worlds, I thought it was more like a Immaterium, like it was in the warp, and
Yeah.
it was formed by like the energies of the warp, and it was just like this twisting nebulous energy thing. And what
You're
this
thinking
demon-
like Nurgle's Garden. Or
things like that,
Corn's,
yeah.
Like,
But what
Yeah.
a demon world actually is it. Think of it like a transparency. You've got the world in our real space. The warp has been laid over top of it and has corrupted and changed the world. It still exists in the material,
Yeah.
but it's got all this energy swirling around it, almost like there's a storm going around that's having a major effect on what is actually happening with the planet's ecology or
Yeah.
Yeah.
its people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the key thing too. Like it is an actual place.
Yeah, you can go there.
You can't.
You actually don't want to.
No.
Because when
But maybe you do.
Speak for yourself.
Because when you go there, there's going to be demon princes, heretic Astartes legions, war bands,
Cultists.
traitor titans, like everything that could destroy and murder any military operation. Now, if you live there, there's also going to be maybe creatures that have been corrupted by the influence of the warp as well. So natural fauna and
Demons.
wildlife,
Yeah.
feculent gnarl maws.
Demons.
Yep. Demons.
I heard there were demons
There
there.
are demons there.
Or Damons.
Matt
Get out.
Damon. Matt Damon's there.
Get out, Jordan.
Now, just like looking
I'm just
into-
reading it how it's pronounced.
Now, like looking into the warp will start to have the energies, the reverberations will have a effect on your mind, not because you're going crazy from just the existential dread of it. Just the act of looking at the warp can drive you mad.
Yeah.
Living on one of these worlds, you are living in it. So it is the equivalent of the most hellish dimension that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
It is.
It's Australia.
If it existed.
If it existed.
But yeah, like entire like populations will live there. Like generations will live and die on Death Worlds, and they'll have like
Demon
their
Worlds.
or Demon Worlds, yeah. And yeah, they'll have like cities and everything built, and
It's amazing that any work can get done when everyone's like trying not to like imagine their intestines are crawling out of their eyes, it's like at any given moment. So it is actually a testament to the overseers of demons who are making sure that stuff gets done.
Well, with enough chains and
Demon
whips,
Prince Golglock for president of Demon World.
2020. So after Demon Worlds, we have Xenos Worlds.
Yeah. So a Xenos world is categorized as any non-human and non-imperial world. So these are inhabited by a sentient Xenos race. And then once you've classified something as a Xenos world, you can further classify it depending on the specific type of Xenos that lives there. That's not going to happen every time.
Yeah.
It's mainly going to happen for a race that is well known to humanity or is considered enough of a threat to like be given a true designation.
Yeah.
If it's just like a small Xenos, then
Like the Tau.
yeah,
Not gonna
no
bother.
one's going to
No one
care
cares.
about giving it. But it is good to know whether something is an orc world or like a tomb world.
Yeah.
Right? Or like a Tyrannid or whatever. It's good to know if there's something. I guess Tyranids don't have worlds.
Now, there are more Xenos Worlds in the Tempestus segmentum, I think, because just of the population of how many like diverse, even smaller Xenos races there are. Not to say like the Tau or the Tyranids or the Orcs, but there's just more to play with in that region. So if you're doing a story,
Wouldn't there just be more in the Ultima segmentum? This Ultima segmentum is just like 5 times larger than the Tempestus.
But you can also look at it as a barren zone, just because like Canada, just because there's more territory doesn't mean there's more things there. So
Who's going to put on the gloves first to fight?
I'm not fighting. It's not worth it.
It's never worth
You
it.
better stand up right now and throw hands, Colin.
So the first one we'll talk about is a tomb world. These worlds...
This one's my favorite.
So would you like to talk about it? Yeah.
I don't want to take your glory from you.
No, I was just gonna revel in it as I was just gonna start, twisting my nipples as you talked about it. Do it, Mark. Talk about it right now. Share.
Tomb worlds.
Share
These
the
house
knowledge.
millions of sleeping Necron created over 60 million years.
Oh, really?
They have just begun to awaken and
Do
claim
they?
back their galaxy.
That's right.
Oh my
Ow,
God.
that hurt. I pinched too hard.
While they do have Necron on them, they can also be inhabited by other species. So multiple planets can fall under like multiple designations.
Maybe a tomb orc world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you might not even know it's a tomb world either.
Yeah, chances are good if you know it's a tomb world, you're dead soon. They're sending Arcanthrites after you
Yeah.
to destroy. Yeah.
If you want more information specifically about tomb worlds, go check out episode 51 that we did. It's a good episode. It's one of my favorites, actually.
Crypts of the Necron.
Yeah, it's good. Talks all about tomb worlds. Orc worlds.
Yes, and these are worlds that are actually fully controlled by orcs, not just part of an orc invasion. Because if you were to say that every planet that has orc on it is like an orc world, it would be a lot of planets.
Every planet.
Yeah, almost every planet is going to have... Well, no, that's almost every planet. A lot of planets have some kind of orc presence, just because the orcs are so invasive.
Yeah.
But these are ones that are actually controlled by like orc warlords or war bosses that have like a seat of power there. And so, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Ta-da, we did it.
Orc worlds.
Yeah.
They can have other populations on them too.
Of course.
Orcs will be the dominant one.
Yes, they're the
They'll have-
rulers.
Yeah, they can have
Slaves.
human slaves and all that kind of human food sources. But yeah.
Every once in a while, you want a little human flambe. You're just tired of eating mushrooms.
Human fondue.
That's
Oh,
right.
yes.
Melt them and then you dip your mushrooms in the human fondue.
I was actually thinking you were dipping human ears into the fondue made of people.
Oh, sure, why not?
But you could also do that on a demon world. So
Do you think like they collect like? Do you think that orcs will use other races' teeth?
No.
no.
No, because it would be funny to be like, I have like 10,000 human Yumi teeth in one orc.
Well, it's
Get
just-
that out of here. It's trash.
The exchange rate is just not going to be good
It's
on
just
that.
not
You know,
worth it.
I think
one
that's
orc
what
teeth
it is.
equal to 100 human teeth. Like, come on, you're not going to be like getting stock in that.
Some Gretchen is collecting human teeth, and
He's so prepared to
rich.
make like a down payment on like this new like truck, and he's just like, I've got it, and they're like, this is not worth anything.
He gets laughed out, and then he walks through the rain, and he's sad.
Oh, you think he survives this situation?
You know what? Good call.
Watching him take the
They
teeth.
just ate him. So the next one we have are Tau Worlds.
Back 'em.
Perfect. Let's talk about Crone Worlds.
So these are the original home worlds. Just going to blow right past that. They're the original
It's
home
not
worlds.
worth talking about Tau.
They are the homeworlds of the Eldari, the Eldar race, and during the fall, they were kind of sucked into the Eye of Terror, becoming demon planets. Although the Eldar still refer to them as lost Crone worlds, that they will try to. Again, they don't want to be like zipping in there, but for some stories, there's either a human expedition or the Eldar are talking about going to a Crone world because they still have that historical reverence and that deep sense of loss.
Well, there's actually a much more practical reason why they have to go to Crone Worlds.
For stones.
Yeah, their spirit stones are grown on these planets. So if they want to stop their souls from being sucked into the warp, they need more of these stones. So the only way they can get them is by going to these Crone Worlds.
Now, whether those, I would also be questioning when you're going to these Crone Worlds, you're fighting your way through demonic forces to get to them. The longer that those stones are there, the less likely they're going to be reliable. I feel that they haven't, that there's some energy that isn't going to start to seep into them. So it's actually kind of a testament to either Eldar ingenuity or influence from the old gods or whatever have you, that it's kind of just a resource management thing. If we got to go there and they're totally intact and there's no problems with them whatsoever, I'm not aware of it. Yeah, I'm not aware of any stories about like the nuances of that. Maybe they bring a spirit stone back, they put it into the infinity circuit, and all of a sudden, surprise! It's actually a Slaneshi demon that's been trapped, it, like put itself inside. That'd be horrifying. Yeah. So they have to be very.
It'll be careful. A good story though.
Yeah. So after Crone Worlds, we have Maiden Worlds. Now these are the paradise worlds that the Eldar have kind of terraformed, I guess is the best description for them.
But it's way more than terraformed.
Yeah. They've kind of uplifted. It's not this act of like, for example...
Because like a terraform just needs to be able to sustain life.
Like humans will go, we'll make sure that it can have people
living
atmosphere,
on it. The gravity is okay.
The Maiden Worlds are like, let's create a paradise land. Let's do a full, like top, bottom, gut it out. This is extreme makeover, planet edition. Move that blockade so we can see the planet. Unfortunately, this dream of a galaxy filled with paradise was halted.
Poor Eye of Terror.
And now some Eldar had escaped their fall. These were the Exudates, and they went and they found they settled these planets, which then starts to change the designation from Maiden World to Exudate Worlds. But Maiden Worlds are, if you're humanity and you're romping around the galaxy and you find a planet that isn't just a barren rock,
and it's a paradise,
you can 100% be like, Eldar probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, you would assume that. Like most planets aren't going to evolve into a nice utopia. There's always going to be a pecking order. These an interesting thing about these is craft world Eldar that like come across Maiden Worlds. They view any inhabitant of them as like a
interloper,
a trespasser. And they'll do their best. Alien. An illegal alien. And they'll do their best to remove that, even though they're not going to settle the. They're not going to settle the planet themselves. But they are going to remove.
It's kind of like you've created this beautiful gem, like you've got this jewelry, and then all of a sudden
you don't want anyone else to wear it. Just because you're not going to wear it doesn't mean anyone else can.
Exactly. Don't touch my stuff.
I'm not going to use it, but also you can't use it.
How
selfish.
That's a good time. The one thing you kind of briefly said was, like the difference between terraforming and like just
uplifting,
evolution, like seeding. They're doing way more of the seeding aspect, where it's like they might put just one germ on it and then let it kind of go over millions of years.
But they're like, it's intentional with them. They're not putting. They're not going to allow some apex predator that is a threat to you grow on this planet, because it's a paradise world. It's meant to be a utopia for them.
Everything in balance.
And then the other thing you said was Exudate Worlds. Exudate Eldar who have like gone to these paradise worlds and actually colonized them. But Exudates also will colonize any other planet that they've come in contact with. So
it's mainly they're trying and staying on the fringes of space. They're trying to stay out of the way of main
because just before the fall of the Eldar, some Eldar left the depravity of their brothers and settled worlds beyond the reach of everybody. They seen what's happening. They decided to do their own thing get out before it went too crazy.
Now, whereas a paradise world is something that has been like seeded and lifted up, and it's an Exudate world may be something where they've gone and they've just created a balance on the world. Like it may have been a paradise from the Eldar before, and now they've settled it.
Yeah.
Or the Exudates have found a way to work in tandem with the environment, and that's why you see with a lot of conversions and modeling, Eldar riding dinosaurs. It's this idea of that they have integrated fully into the ecosystem and that they are in balance with it. They're not lording over it like we are the gods of paradise.
Yeah.
This is, you've effectively gone into the jungle, and now you are living with it.
Yeah. The very basic idea of this when they were like created Exudates was like wood elves.
Yes.
Like in tune with nature. And then you got your craft world, which are like high elves.
Yeah.
Then you got your dark eldar, which are like dark elves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think very much that when we talk about Exudate worlds, like very much in tune with the nature. They're not always riding dinosaurs either. It could be giant spiders, it could be people, any type
On
of
their
animal.
shoulders.
Yeah, any type of animal they could ride.
Great
Be it-
for burlap sag, potato bag races, just like riding humans to get across the finish
No,
line.
they make them go on all fours.
They would.
Oh yeah.
On your knees, monkey.
Yeah.
So, what's the next type of world?
Craft worlds. And while these are not technically planets, but massive spaceship-sized planets, or spaceships the size of planets, just like planets, these ships have various environments, local fauna and flora. But because they're made of wraithbone, these planet-sized ships can grow and change to suit the need of the Eldar that live on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're spaceships, but they're massive. They're huge.
Yeah, they'll house like the same populations that regular planets would.
Yeah,
So-
and they'll have biodomes, like, and every craft world's different too. Like some might be more of a
The biodomes are one of the coolest things for me because you have the different aspects which are going to be living in each biodome, so they're going to train a certain way in a specific environment.
Yeah.
And it's you can, the ones that always are very hard for me to rationalize are like the ones that are for the like the air wing. Biodomes where it's like it takes them half a second to cross the entire like dome. Well, no, these are the size of continents.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They are massive.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of tough to understand the scale of.
Just imagine that you're like riding a moon is like for the size.
Yeah,
sure.
Now we'll scale it up. It's just a little bit easier to comprehend because I would think more like, oh, we've just lifted the entire continent and we're flying through space. No, these things are massive, like absolutely huge.
And they're Eldar made too.
Yeah.
Like
So they're built to last.
yeah. Yeah, they're pretty cool, but not technically planets, but still cool. I think that's kind of the main type of Xenos planets.
Which brings us to designations of planets and how the Imperium of Man makes sense of how they classify their own holdings.
The word sense does not belong. The way they do this is so funny.
Here.
We'll get into it a little better.
Yeah. So-
So first you have the geographic and topographical.
Yep.
Then you have who inhabitants, and then you kind of get into this portion of it.
So for people living at a ground level who may live in the worlds, rather than you're a administratum or like a Imperial Navy general going, we are going to go to this death world, or you're going to start saying we need to go assist on this kind of world. The people who are living them would more likely use the designation of where they live. I'm on a Agri world.
Yeah.
I'm on a Shrine world.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. It's a little bit more intimate. You're living. You're living in it.
Yeah. The Imperium has 9 official designations given to Imperium planets that they attempt to paint them in broad strokes to describe their functionality.
And there's
What they
also
kinda do.
there's also additional designations that they use, like kind of like an alternate one to as like a description of the planet, but it doesn't make any real sense.
Oh, it's a weird
Because
setup.
it's odd how some things are given an official designation and some things are given as an alternate designation.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the official ones, and then we're going to go over the alternate ones, and then we will tell you about an actually much better way to designate and classify a
the
planet.
Lorehammer way of designating a planet. So when you're writing your own stories, you can do it right.
Yeah, because the cool thing about this is you can classify your planet in like the way that we've kind of come up with after this, and you will have like a very solid base for what the planet looks like, how you should act on the planet, who inhabits the planet, and really cool features of the planet.
Yeah.
Population, tithe grades, prefixes for the Inquisition, how the draft works, what's the orbital radius, what trade to and from the planet looks like, climate,
Perfect.
culture,
Minor details. All the minor details
minutia.
that paint the bigger picture for you.
temperature on a Tuesday.
First, let's start with Agri Worlds or
Yes.
Alpha.
The Alpha designation. So the majority of the population on this planet is used in the sector of food production. And 85% of the planet's surface has to be used for food production in order to be classified as an Agri World.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's a lot of a planet given to food production.
Yeah. And these are usually located next to like Hive Worlds, which we'll talk about a little later. But they're usually used to, feed the planets around them. The one funny thing about Agri Worlds too is like, the Imperium paints them as like these nice, like, go farm on this peaceful world, like, you and your family can go here.
Be a productive member.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so relaxing.
But really, like, these planets are like hellish kind of planets. They're
ravaged by storms.
Well, yeah, and just like the toxic atmosphere, like, because they just will use, just imagine a world full of 80% cows, 85% cows, like all
Well,
that
not only
method-
that, like the pesticides and
all
chemicals.
the pesticides,
yeah.
chemicals, like all their massive farming equipment, just like it.
Belching, smoke.
Yeah, it's not a paradise world. It's not the
No.
idea of like the Industrial Revolution where we had just started to use machines to harvest crops. It's like you've got crop cultivation, hydroponics, pollution from the machines doing the
Yeah.
harvesting.
Yeah.
It's I actually think it's a little bit more like when you have like in the Matrix and there's just rows and fields of things, but like the sky could be bleached black and you're just like trying to
That's kind of how I see
ties
it
the
too.
earth. Yeah.
Trying to get some food.
I do like the idea though that animal fodder still exists in 40K. It's something that can kind of be overlooked of like what sort of meats do people eat? Like
I think like the primary one is it called a grox? It is
like an ox. Like a cow. Like
yeah.
And so that you still would have like these animals would not be treated nicely. It's you need to
No.
feed populations, and an agri-world population can range. I've seen different numbers for what you can expect on these worlds, but the people who are living there are spread widely across the
Yeah,
surface.
it's pretty sparsely populated
Yeah.
especially because the technology for the Imperium is so high. Like you don't need a lot of people to farm these massive tracts of land.
Yeah, it's not dense. It's large farmlands, a couple groups within a certain acreage, I guess, farming out all of the like reaping the earth to feed the many mouths of the Imperium.
Yeah, wild. Next we'll talk about civilized worlds or
Gamma designation.
Ugh, hate these.
Designation Gamma.
These are the most common type of Imperial world. They are self-sufficient worlds that create a tithe to the Imperium. So these are the worlds you want.
Yeah,
really.
especially because the Imperium doesn't have to put any extra resources into maintaining these.
Yeah.
But they collect money from them, so
And
it's
people
perfect.
and exactly.
Massive populations in the millions and billions, and everybody gets taxed hard.
Yeah.
Sounds like real world.
Well, they're actually pretty self-sustaining
Sounds like Canada.
in
Yeah.
terms of their industry.
But so is
they-
Earth. Like Earth is like we create everything we need.
like they'll have carefully managed like food production facilities, but they're not agri-worlds.
Yeah.
The agri-worlds are like this whole planet can be dedicated to this sole purpose because we can export the materials across our segmentum or across the human empire.
Yeah.
These you might be able to feed people, but I don't think you're going to have too many groks. You're going to have a lot more like beyond meat. You're going to have like some synthetic creations.
Yeah, well, it's going to depend on like what's available to the planet and what grows there naturally, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, these are great ones for the Empire.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next
They
ones
can be anything, really. That's all on that.
the next ones are not so great for the Empire.
So a dead world is a world that
Designation Delta.
Delta.
You're doing like the GNU squad.
Yeah.
They are sterile, completely devoid of life, no atmosphere, incapable of supporting a population.
Yeah. A dead world is actually pretty commonly created after an exterminatus.
Or Tyranid invasion.
Or Tyranid invasion. Yep.
Just
bad
a
gas.
barren rock.
As in like
Nurgle gas. Someone farted on the planet. That's a dead world.
thank you, typhus.
Not to be confused with a death world.
Designation Delta Tau.
Death.
Fuck. These worlds are hostile to human life because two potential factors. Either the environment's going to kill you or the creatures on the planet are. The planets that have continuous cycle of environmental disasters such as volcanic wastelands, ion storms, radioactive storms, sandstorms, whatever.
Storms.
Storms,
Storm
radioactive
storms,
storms.
It's anything
whatever you
that
want.
humans just can't naturally live in.
Yeah,
like
huge tidal
we're
waves
pretty
that
weak.
constantly flood half
Yeah,
the
but
surface.
The planet is too dangerous itself to
Yeah.
support large-scale human civilization.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not like a sentient thing that's trying to kill you.
No, it's forces
just-
of nature.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one way, and then the other one would be like an animal that's intent is to actually kill you, or a plant whose intent is
Yeah.
to actually kill you.
Yeah.
The predation of the wildlife is like you have to be living in bunkers. You can't freely move between settlements
Yeah.
without
You need-
an armed convoy or some sort of
Yeah.
airborne
Who's
transport.
that one cetacean? Is it Slime Marbo? I'm thinking of the one who like.
Tell me more. Who's that one cetacean? Well, there's multiple.
No, he's like Rambo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Marbo, Rambo. Yeah, it's just an animal.
Slime Marbo.
Yeah, but you need him if you want to live on these planets. But the interesting thing about Death Worlds, where it's like the animals and the plants, is they're described as like a very finely balanced ecosystem. Because not only are these plants and animals trying to kill you, they're also constantly killing each other.
Yeah.
And so it's described as a finely balanced ecosystem that hovers between continual destruction and lightning fast reproduction.
It's the circle of life.
It's the fastest circle you've ever seen.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Would do people like have science expeditions or training on these planets,
Yeah.
or is it just no one goes there?
No, they're usually inhabited.
Yeah, they're not like a research station. These are actual like populated.
Yeah. And the two main reasons why people will populate them is to get an Imperial Guard regiment who's like super hardy, who can survive.
To train them,
Exactly.
basically. Okay, yeah.
Or as an Astartes homeworld.
Oh, really?
Or not homeworld, recruiting
Yeah,
world.
yeah. So they'll like put a bunch of humans there, make them survive, grow strong babies,
Yeah.
and then take the babies.
Take the babies. Take them babies.
Cause I'm baby. The cat. Did I ever send you that?
I don't know.
So after a death world comes the Hive Worlds.
Eric's looking at pictures of babies, I think.
No, cats.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Hive Worlds are also known by their designation
Oh,
of
sorry. Designation Ada.
Hive. These are actually my favorite worlds because it's different than the civilized ones, where you're thinking civilized, high population, like a lot of people cramped together,
Educated, cultural.
Yeah, Hive Worlds are not that. They are
These are like one of the 40k planets. Like, this is like
Yes.
when you think 40k.
stack people on top of people. Everything is crime,
And then
pollution,
put a little more people on there.
and more people. Just salt to taste. Just a little sprinkling of more
Yeah.
people. They have continent-sized cities.
Yes, they are absolutely.
Yeah, that can go like miles into the sky or into the earth or
Yeah.
whatever.
So Hive Worlds actually make up around 10 to 25% of all Imperial planets,
Yeah.
which is a dumb number.
Now, I imagine that they're also taxed higher than the civilized
How do you
worlds.
collect tax from someone when you have no designation for them, though?
What I
'Cause
would-
you can't count the population,
Right, but
so how do you know?
There's still going to be a planetary governor. Like, I'm not saying that there's going to be a census for a Hive world, but the planetary governor could probably then use the police force, who then make dirty deals with the people, and then what you imagine that everyone has a tithe that has to be paid up to whoever their supervisor is. That it's effectively
overrun by
So
cults.
let's talk about tithes for a
gangs.
quick
So,
second.
yeah.
Most tithes are just people. Your
Yeah.
tithe is people.
Yeah.
And they'll take those people if they have to.
Yeah. So
Most
like
tithes are. There is
Yeah.
a separate tithes to like the ecclesiarchy, but
Yes.
that one's not that's not the main imperial tithe. The
No.
main imperial tithe is the
human-
people.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
or just
not that
resources. Like if
or
you're
that,
like a resource-rich planet, like an
Yes.
agri-world's tithe is not its people; it's the food. A mining
Yes.
world's planet is the resources it gives.
Yes, but mostly it is people.
It depends on what your planet is.
No,
but,
but
it
like
mostly
by
is people.
games, workshops,
yeah, standard
lore.
of tithe.
Well, I mean, it
That-
makes sense.
it is
when we
people.
say
That's
that-
what they define it
when
as.
We say okay, but you can rationalize this.
I'm not rationalizing. I'm telling you, Eric. Once again, I'm telling you the main tithe.
You're right. We shouldn't try and figure out why the main tithe is people, though. We should just
No, you should just accept it
yeah,
as that's what
because
they
that's
do,
what we
because
do with
that's
Games
what you
Workshop.
need.
We just accept
No,
what
that's
they
what
say.
you need.
Oh
my God, my God.
Civilized world, you could have more currency based, like paying people off. What I was trying to get to with Hive Worlds is that yes, you'll have more like dirty deals and like paying with weapons and crime and corruption, but Hive Worlds are also where people will get scooped up as slaves and thralls and
Oh,
be
yeah.
taken into different like
Yeah.
expeditions and stuff.
Yeah,
like
like they need to colonize a new world. They're just here, come onto this ship. It's full of food. And then, everyone's climbing onto the ship, and then they close the ship door.
Yeah.
There's no food, but they ship you to another
Or
planet.
they won't even provide that promise because
Yeah.
in one of the in the Forge of Mars series, like Skitari with fucking cattle prods just show up and they start collaring people and they're like, "You're
Yeah.
coming with us."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You got
for
no
sure.
choice.
That'll happen.
So their resource output is people, but they also make things like smaller things. And
Oh, yeah.
Hive Worlds are also where we see the gangs of Necromunda. So you've got these smaller niches within the game framework.
Oh, sure.
Where there's like different technology that exists on them. You've many stories of like an Inquisitor going to a Hive World involves some sort of seedy underbelly, like crime and
Yeah.
drama for that. So
Yeah, with a population of trillions, you can come up with a lot of different storylines there.
yeah.
So,
Giant planet-wide cities, though.
yeah. Oftentimes, too, like outside of the city is usually uninhabitable. Either it's so polluted on the outside, or they just haven't colonized the outside and it's, just barren desert or whatever it may be. Usually the only safe is in the Hive City itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that a fart?
I thought that was the door.
Pardonnez-moi.
So after Hive Worlds,
Feudal Worlds.
Yes, designation Moo.
moo
Mew or Moo?
That'd be moo.
Mew, because we're Dragon Ball Z people.
That's
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Mark is not the best at
What's
pop culture.
what's the
All animes are
Boo.
the same, right?
Boo.
Oh, they look similar,
feudal.
don't
No,
they?
Boo actually has an
Similar
M.
enough.
Boo has an M as the
Oh,
symbol.
it's all connected. Oh my god. He's a
That's for Majin.
Majin Buu.
Majin Buu, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's not.
Who's Mew?
So feudal worlds exist
It's a talking cat, okay?
at the medieval level of technology. Whether they had got like blasted back to medieval times by a warp storm and they were disconnected from the rest of the Imperium, or maybe there's some sort of critical mismanagement
Yeah.
by the administratum where it's like, we're gonna stop sending you books
Yeah, yeah,
and
always-
STC materials.
That's all it is. It's just a clerical error
Yeah.
that has forced this planet to go from like technological
Advanced human star
back to
civilization.
using like swords and shields. That's hilarious. Some guy missed a keystroke.
Yeah.
They just stopped supplying this planet.
So like from
It could even be by choice too. But
Sure.
I like yours better.
he meant to send like in like an AH file for like advanced hieronymics or something. Like he's trying to send a science file.
Hieronymics.
Just go with it, and then he ends up getting like animal husbandry
Right,
instead.
yeah.
And it's just like
It's like the Age of Empires, like how you can research things.
Yeah.
Like, let's research like bombardments, but they sent the wrong kind of bombardments. They send like cannons, not like
send me a tank, I'll send you gunpowder. It's
right.
like, damn it.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
This is somewhat tied to night worlds, though. Would a night world be separate from this?
Yes, completely separate.
Yeah, you can have a night world that's a feudal world, but you could also have a night world that's a civilized world,
Or even on a Forge
or
World.
a forge world,
Makes sense.
or an agri world.
Okay.
Another key thing about feudal worlds is they're usually governed by an aristocracy. Mm-hmm.
Some kind of warlord.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody in charge of everybody, kind of keeping the peasants down.
Well, keeping them where they belong.
Yeah, underfoot.
Under the heel. Nice. We're back.
This actually was when I was first learning about 40K. What really clarified how the organizational structure of the Imperium works is that the Imperium, writ large, doesn't really care too much about who's running the planet.
No, like they're
It's
usually
like-
left to their own devices.
Yeah.
All you have to do is fulfill
Pay your tithe, and
Yeah.
you can run it however your system
Yeah.
dictates is manageable.
And even when it comes to like religion, they're often like co-opt the current religion on the planet
Yeah.
and just like
Twist it to the
oh yeah,
imperial
yeah,
cult."
you worship.
A sun god. Well,
That was the emperor the whole time.
But it would also be like, think of the to try and be a central planet for like hundreds of thousands of planets is like
Impossible.
Yeah, impossible. You can't
Yeah.
do it. It's more of
Centralize that
a
as
yeah.
well.
It's like a necessity. You have to let planets self manage. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Having said that too, like the one thing that like is located on every like Imperial world will be an Adeptus Arbites fortress, which is like space cops, and there are certain laws that everyone has to follow.
Don't
They-
steal.
No,
Don't
that's not
murder.
even.
That's not
no,
even
that's
on there.
no,
Yeah.
no.
That's even encouraged.
They're actually more like pay your tithe. Not don't
Yes.
do this. It's more this is what the Imperium needs.
Yeah, and they just make sure no one's turning into
Yeah.
a cult, essentially. And they keep a loose eye on
Checklist. Are you a cultist? No. Our work here is done.
that. Essentially, yeah.
Wait a second.
the rules
shows
are
here you
very-
didn't pay your tithe 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's the sign.
Be appropriating your life.
Yeah. And it's kind of an interesting picture to picture that on like a feudal world because they have like high levels of technology, vehicles and stuff compared to people with pitchforks potentially. You
Yeah.
know, like
That's the easiest guard station of your career
yeah.
as an Arbites.
yeah.
I've got my semi-automatic weapon and a power suit. What do you got? I got a pitchfork. Good luck.
It's like one person for like a continent.
Yeah.
Because they can just speed over to wherever they need to be.
But wait, what if somebody had a pitchfork and a goat?
The
Two people now.
Well, now he's got a mount. So
Exactly.
He's
An
jousting.
all-terrain mount.
But couldn't some of these feudal worlds be even like less advanced, like Stone Age?
There's a designation for that, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's one that gets even worse than feudals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
sorry.
The next one we'll talk about though right now is research stations.
Designation Row.
Research.
And these aren't a planet. It's just nothing more than like it could be a floating rock
You
that
could have-
they're
yeah.
monitoring. It could
You
be
could be an asteroid.
could be on a death world even. Like it could be kind of anything.
It's a weird designation because it's really just meaning like, hey, there's not a human population here. There's just some people.
Yeah.
There's, it's not in the show notes, but this may also be where you have mining worlds and industrial worlds fall in. Is that they're not a civilized planet? It's more of an outpost. It's a thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Because for research, they're not necessarily owned by like the Mechanicus. It's you can have a research station or a research planet that's just a floating rock that is owned by some members of insert Imperial, like the Order Chronos or something.
Rogue Trader potentially even has one. But
Yeah. Because how hard is it to go to a world, stab your flag down, and be like, mine now if there's no one there?
Yeah.
It's keeping it. That's the problem.
Are you paying your tithe?
There's 3 of us on the planet.
Are you paying your tithe?
I take 1 and 3.
Yeah. Well, we don't give change, so one of you is coming with us.
Yeah. Forge Worlds.
Designation 5.
These are about as insignificant as Tau Worlds.
Go to
That's right.
hell.
So
Go
next
to
one we're
hell.
doing is
You
Feral
son of a
And this
bitch.
is the one Jordan wanted to hear
Forge
about.
worlds are planets run by the Adeptus Mechanicus, and they function as their own independent empire within the Imperium of Man.
Are you paying your tithe?
They don't pay the same tithe. They actually have a different tax structure that goes through their dominus, which is
Goddamn.
which it also helps reinforce
Special
their autonomy.
snowflakes.
Special snowflakes. It helps ensure their autonomy. These are the worlds where they produce, manufacture, and have resource output for arms, weapons, and technology.
It sounds like just a manufacturing world.
That's entirely what it is. And if we thought that the other worlds were bad for like pollution and like damage of the planet, like there's entire continents that have been lifted up because they just want to get at the minerals within, and
Right.
the entire ecosystem has been destroyed.
Oh, yeah. These are going to be barren husks by the time they're done.
Or if not a barren husk, a desert wasteland where most of the damage and technology is underneath, almost kind of becoming tombs to human technology by themselves. Mars is a case example of that there are entire industrial architecture systems that are deep underground that have been lost either through the scrap code of the Horus Heresy, through the Long Night and all of the corruption that existed when warp storms were plaguing the galaxy, or the Men of Iron with the AI wars. Like you've got stuff that go deep down and you're like, this is an awful existence.
Yeah.
So
Angry Worlds will also usually be attached to these ones too.
yeah, like
'cause you got it. There's
they,
no way to
they probably
grow.
wouldn't have any food, right?
Yeah.
They'd
Unless
have no way
they
to rely
feed people.
entirely on an.
Although
angry
they
world.
probably would like have like some type of vat grown food, but just not enough.
yeah.
They probably have like some
Well-
kind of algae that grows.
But you also
yeah,
need
yeah, yeah.
you also need like some kind of presence to make repairs to any of the stuff that's happening on your agri worlds because those peasants aren't allowed to.
They don't know.
They're not allowed.
They got pitchfork level of technology.
They don't have to.
not in the agri worlds.
Oh, yeah,
they'd
yeah.
be pretty advanced. Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Forge worlds are
Advanced farming technology.
Forge Worlds are also not a tourist destination if we're talking about your Imperium of Man.
Come
trip.
see
No
the
brochure.
green lakes of
Yeah.
Forge World.
Come see the volcanic forges
Yeah.
that'll melt your face off.
Because they are so valuable to the Imperium of Man for the resources, they don't want a lot of people going to and from for risk of some sort of corruption or trade or infiltration.
Don't want that trade.
Well, I mean, like, the regard of if you were to, like, disseminate the ability for an agri world to, like, entirely carry out its own trade.
Yeah.
So it'd be, like, heavily restricted. You're going through single ports to get to the world. And also for Space Marine chapters, when they send, like, a tech marine or something like that, you go to that world and it's like all connection is cut off before you go back to your chapter. They're very secretive and they don't want you to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's the Forge Worlds.
So pretty insignificant. Is that where we landed
great.
on them?
I'm kind of curious.
My face.
I'm kind of curious. Does okay, with these like different worlds with such a each of them with each classification has like a very different emphasis on what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that would like change each world's culture significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
They would almost like. I'm kind of wondering like like a Forge world next to I don't know, Hive World. Like their cultures would be so different. Would they even like recognize one another? Like would their language even be the same?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
there is
colloquialisms definitely, but there is like a common. There's Gothic and Low Gothic.
Yeah, and anyone
Okay.
who would actually deal with like any ambassadors will know Low Gothic in the Imperium.
Right.
Or
But is
High
there any
Gothic.
talk of like even like a what do you call it? Like a dialect
Oh yeah. Like
on different planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good example is like a Space Marine chapter.
White Scars?
Sure. We'll go with them. Go with them.
Well, I don't know much about them. I thought that was what you were gonna...
No, I was going to talk about Horus and his planet. It starts with a C.
Cathonia.
Yeah, Cathonia. They're known for having a very, very harsh sounding, very recognizable sounding language that even like Space Marines in the same legion, when like they had legionnaires from Terra and legionnaires from Cathonia, like you could tell just by the sound of their voice, like where
Some
Their
were like the
intonation.
origin, and some are like the new Marines.
Right.
But also to get like beyond
Even if they're
language,
speaking
because
the
there is
same
high and low
language.
Gothic. What you're talking about with like the cultural differences is that
Yeah.
it's the galaxy is so big, so even the Forge Worlds have very different cultures.
Totally,
like
yeah.
they're all modeled
Yeah.
on Mars, but they all have their very unique ways of kind of representing that.
Yeah.
Medieval worlds.
All you have to do is look at the
some like
difference
to have
between
technology. Fuck you. What?
what. All you have to do is
Some like to fuck technology, and some like the technology to fuck you
oh my god.
on a Forge world.
Yeah. All you have to do is
That's-
look at the differences between like South America and like
Dirty shithole
and
country,
Asia,
right?
Like the
Oh,
differences we have like
too
within a
dirty.
single planet over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
course of what like
Well, yeah.
10,000 years, but then also to be on a completely separate planet and to have like a way bigger difference of technology. So it would be impossible if you were to say everyone spoke the same language.
Yeah.
Also, what the planet's
had the same
neighbor
culture.
is like
Yeah,
you,
same
for
values.
Night Worlds to be right next to a Forge World, the close bond that they would have of the like upkeep of the Knights. I like to imagine like a medieval world right next to, or a feudal world right next to a Hive World. You're gonna have this one world where it's like very backwards, like regressive in their
Wait,
technology.
which one is backwards?
Yeah.
That's the trick. But I mean, like one is more heavily populated,
Yes.
like has like major drug problems, and then you've got these people who are farmers who are like, "What is going on that world?" Because they would probably.
I'm just gonna get my head down and do my work.
exactly. So
Hope my lord doesn't take my daughter prima nocte.
Every time.
after Forge Worlds come
Yeah.
Feral.
So this is our
Worlds.
last Imperial designation.
And
And it's
this is
designation
more
Phi
Lambda.
Lambda. Phi Lambda.
This describes a level of technology
You
that
please
barely
name that as like
exists.
your university house. Like you go back to school and you're like, "We're from House Fly Lambda." It's just like,
Feral.
don't go talk to those people from the Forge World over there.
Yeah.
So this describes a level of technology that barely exists. These humans live in pre-Black Powder or even Stone Age, and it has a mainly hunter-gatherer population.
And so one of the things is due to the constant danger on these planets, Adeptus Astartes will use their populations as recruits.
Yeah.
But which can be said about a lot of these planets.
Yeah.
Actually, that we've already covered.
Yeah.
One of the things I read about this was that the Imperium of Man, like the Administratum, regards these worlds as populated but relatively useless because they're not focused. They don't have a industry that they're kind of just pulling themselves out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what can you contribute as a whole?
And thanks to the Prime Directive, we're not actually going to interfere within these planets.
Nope, we're gonna still tithe them. We still need those bodies.
We're still going to tax you.
Can you imagine being taken as a slave or a thrall, and you're like, this giant ship comes down, grabs you. You're a population of like a medieval world or a feral planet, and then you get put onto a ship with all these guardsmen from like Hive Worlds and civilized worlds, and you're like, just what that would do to your understanding of the galaxy.
It's funny that you go back even like to feudal or feral. Like, just imagine like us right now.
Yes.
If a huge ship came down,
Took us.
and took you,
and now
specifically
we're part of,
you,
specifically me.
only you.
You three are just like, well, that's a
And
interesting
probe your
problem.
butthole.
Like you said, guardsmen, but at least guardsmen look like humans.
Yeah.
What if it was a member of a Forge World?
Yeah, like-
or a Space Marine that showed
I
up?
would. If they're taking just me, I'd be like, so long, suckers, going to Mars. Of course, I would have to recognize the fact that I'm not going to become some
You'd
sort of
become
tech priest.
You'd
I would
be a monotask servant.
Oh yeah, one giant robot arm, and I am.
All you do is lift
Lift
one
one
box
box
and
put it over
lift
there.
The other. Yeah.
Oh,
The box is empty too.
that's the
It's
Imperium in a
filled with his
nutshell.
hopes and dreams.
Oh,
I'll keep moving boxes till the end of time. The boxes are empty.
Yeah.
so those are the main 9 designations of Imperial planets. They also have a bunch of alternate classifications, and some of these make sense, and others don't quite.
Yeah.
Why are they not main ones?
Yes.
But let's go through them. Adeptus Astartes homeworld.
Pretty clear.
Should be a main classification, though.
I don't know if it should be. I don't think it should be.
I think Ball should be classified as like a death, Adeptus Astartes homeworld.
Or simplifying it as a chapter world, because that's its whole purpose. Is because you might have an
Adeptus Astartes. It's just the
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that you're going to have other industries that exist on the world. Like
Yeah.
Adeptus Astartes
Why?
homeworld is the people are pulled from there, but does a homeworld also include like all of the
it says their fortress
mechanical-
monastery.
Yeah,
Not necessarily though.
So Ball has their fortress monastery.
Oh, sure.
on their
Right.
world.
So it will depend on the chapter, because some call their homeworld, but they literally don't have a base on it. They just take populations from it. Some have multiple homeworlds where they do this from, even.
But
I
then
guess
it's not a
that's-
homeworld.
I guess it's not
That's
a
just a
homeworld.
recruitment world.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to have this massive fortress where the Astartes are ruling over the population.
But they will have a tie to it, right? If that
Yes,
homeworld
yes.
is getting attacked or invaded,
Yes.
they will specifically go because
Yeah.
that is their homeworld.
yes, but it doesn't mean
It doesn't mean there's a fortress monastery,
exactly.
sure.
So,
but they
I don't think it should be a main category. This
It's
is
problematic.
A
It is problematic because are you just pulling the population, or do you have a fortress there?
It could
or
be
you-
either.
Yeah,
but
because then with all of the worlds within the ultramarines, like there are many worlds. Would all of them then be a chapter or a step?
No, they would. They have other.
They have their other
because like
designations.
just imagine like, so if it was, you have this Hive world, you forget the fact that it's a Hive world because it's in Astartes' home world, but it's like that's such a minor thing. Like there's a population of trillions on this planet, and the chapter's only taking 10 guys every year. Like the rest of the trillion people are just standing there waiting. Like, well, we're not gonna do nothing because we're
I don't-
Astartes' home world.
Like, I don't think... first of all, I don't think they're only taking 10 people per year.
50?
I think they're taking hundreds of thousands.
Definitely not. That's
And they're all
definitely
just dying.
no.
It depends, like, how many people are left in the chapter? Are there 5? Are they trying to rebuild an entire
Sure.
Space Marine chapter?
Sure.
Or are they
Sure.
the Ultramarines where they already have almost full strength?
Sure.
Right? So I think that depends on it. They're not taking just 10, but, like, it's...
I think this is more.
I don't
of a
think you can just
historical
ignore the
signifier.
fact that there's a chapter on this planet. Like, if you
Some
designate...
chapters literally you wouldn't know the chapter's
So,
homeworld.
are you
is that
categorizing Ball as just a death world?
popular. Yeah.
And that's the only designation you're giving it?
For the Imperium way that they do it, yes. But I also think the Imperium way that they do it is fucking
Well, that's what I'm
retarded.
saying. I think you would also include the Adeptus Astartes as like a true designation
No,
for them.
I kind of agree. It's a tack on.
I think it's just a small tag to a larger descriptor. I think that this is more of a what is your founding world? Like, where did the chapter announce that it is now a chapter? Because you're still going to pull populations from different worlds within this designation. Like, you could have a civilized Astartes recruitment world. You could have a civilized feudal world. That would be interesting.
Civilized. Yeah, sure.
All right,
No, that's
you know,
fine.
So this is more of a do the Astartes have a significant holding there? Yes or no? And that's all it is. It's an extra signifier.
Yeah, exactly. Next one.
Yep.
Let's talk about Cardinal Worlds. So these are...
Quite. Yes. What's on a Cardinal World, Mark?
What is that voice?
This is one of the cardinals of the world, teaching you about the faith of the Imperial
Are you going
cult.
to touch my wiener?
No.
I already did.
No.
These are like planets that are populated by the ecclesiarchy. You know, they have shrines there, like their churches, their monasteries. You know,
All the holy books.
holy books. Yeah,
Big shrines.
big shrines.
Statues upon statues upon statues upon statues. Giant
Places of education and
indoctrination.
Yes.
Indoctrination.
Yeah.
church education.
Yeah. But yeah, they're basically not home worlds, but worlds controlled by the ecclesiarchy.
Yeah. Next one is.
Do you think there's a lot of like Schola Progenums on those?
I'd
yeah.
say so,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Like, are you more likely to? I think like, so if you have a system, and like, do you think there's Schola Progenums on Hive Worlds?
I would say yes.
If
but
you have a
I don't think
ecclesiarchy,
it's-
yeah, like imagine a city, you've got an ecclesiarchy and holding there. They may have one, and they bring people from the community. This is like just writ large. This is like your entire planet is focused on this thing.
Yeah.
It's just Hive Worlds just seem dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whereas
like-
Schola Progenums, like officers' children are going to these places.
Yeah, so the thing about Hive Worlds is you have the incredibly rich and you got everybody else. The incredibly rich, you know, they'll recruit people into
sure.
their guard for
Okay.
officers.
Yeah.
So, you know, when they die, they could go to this. They're not just taking orphans from the lower
well,
portion
not
of-
just taking those.
They're not taking those.
Why not?
They
Anyone that shows potential.
Sure. I just don't think they would ever go down there to check for that potential. Maybe they would.
I don't know.
Maybe they would. But
Yeah.
yeah, Schola Progenums, they could be on Hive World. I just don't think it'd be. They're not just taking in orphans, though. We did it. Cemetery Worlds.
This is
Where
dumb.
I wish I
this
was.
is dumb. No.
Why?
Because people are dying all over the place. So to have one world set for a cemetery world,
Now-
I would imagine that it would be like, what is the affluence or what is the importance of the person who died? So you may have a cemetery world where, oh, these really important people. I would move the corpses, if it's the ecclesiarchy, I would move them into a holding on a cardinal world to keep them protected within the shrines.
What about this, though? This is why Cemetery Worlds exist. Now, we're thinking of our traditional bury them 6 feet under type situation.
Right.
No, they're in a spaceship, right? And they have a meat grinder, and they just float
Chew 'em up.
chew them up, launch the
Make
bodies,
human fondue.
make human fondue onto the planet
Works.
to fertilize the soil, and in 50 years it becomes an agri world.
Horrifying, grimdark.
How do you feel about that?
I'm
now
okay
do
with-
cemetery
I'm
worlds
okay
make
with
a little
that.
more
I'm,
sense?
I'm okay with that.
No, but cemetery worlds too are like vast mausoleums of non-shredded human.
Yeah, a lot of people have enough money to create like a crypt for themselves, right? But
Sure.
you know,
kinda-
land is a premium.
I kind of thought like the Imperium would just like
Let them die on
launch
the
dead
sun.
bodies into the sun or into a sun.
Yeah, yeah.
Imperium is also about like creating like a lasting legacy.
Empire.
It depends on who you are, though.
Yeah.
Like,
What's-
if you're a guardsman, then yes, Jordan. They
getting
get-
shot
Are
in
you
the
even
face.
getting picked
That's
up
what
off
I'm
the
thinking. There's
battlefield?
so many
No.
just
No.
expendable,
Yeah.
worthless people.
But
that
there's
would-
there's also so many people who want to have like a claim to fame and
Yeah,
be
Like
like-
there's
rich.
numbers, because when we think of the galaxy in like the billions and billions and billions, there's going to be more people dying without any celebration or any ceremony.
But like high lords of Terra are going to be like buried on cemetery worlds. Like,
Oh my god, yeah,
members of
they're
the
having like a
ecclesiarchy.
city large. Like
Yeah.
High Lords of Terra are extremely important.
yeah, like these are the people that are being buried on cemetery worlds, and
A
not just the
planetary
countless.
governor.
Sure, yeah.
Well, or the guardsmen who found the SDC for a new combat knife, who are each given a planet.
Those
They're-
are the Space Marines, but yes.
I thought they were guardsmen.
No,
that
they're
found
scouts.
that.
They were scouts. But anyways, yeah, like it's not just they're not gathering every guardsman, putting them on this planet. These are wealthy, affluent people.
We also have to think about how cemeteries we traditionally think of as like we try to make them a little bit more beautiful. Like we'll have gardens and we'll have things run around. I also imagine this is like you're putting the bodies there because it's convenient. It may not be the most like terraformed planet. Like maybe there's very low atmosphere, so there's
Yeah.
not much you can do with it.
Yeah.
So you say, well, let's just put the caskets of all these dead lords there.
Sure.
Yeah, and they don't find it worth their time to actually change it. So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, might as well.
Yeah. Up next, we got Fortress Worlds. So a good example of a fortress world is Arcadia. And it's just a world that is dedicated to defending a certain particular valuable asset, whether that be a stable warp route or, could be defending a hive city or a hive world or whatever. It's a fortress world. Everything on that world is built up to be a military power. They have guardsmen regiments where all they do is just train. All they do is just become
weapons training.
Yeah.
Watch posts.
Exactly.
Planetarian system, like advance notice if a Tyranid hive fleet is snaking its way closer.
Yeah, like a fortress world like could potentially be like Pluto if we put a bunch of like weapon platforms on Pluto,
Yeah.
And then
The thing that always works with maps is that the planet is in a relatively like stable single space. But I just thought of if something was coming from our quote unquote galactic east and we put all these guns on Pluto, but then when it arrives, the orbit of Pluto is on the complete opposite side.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
So some of the fortress worlds
also you can come from the top.
Yeah, right. Some fortress worlds will have giant planetary engines that will rip them out of their natural orbit to put them into space.
Yeah.
We see this also with like attack moons.
Yeah.
Like, this could kind of fit that designation.
Exactly, yeah.
Where it's you've got giant guns, or the planet is a gun, and
Goddamn gun planets.
well, there's one where they haul asteroids, iron rich or mineral rich, into its like targeting area, and then they just throw these asteroids at the planet, which then shoots them back out like a rail gun across the system. It's just like, I like it.
Okay.
That's a fortress world.
Yeah, exactly. Frontier worlds. Frontier worlds are worlds on the edges of space that are either recently colonized. Think of like the Wild West, on the
Like
frontier.
Wiki Wild Wild West?
I don't-
Jim West? Desperado? Okay, no, we're not gonna do that. Frontier world, like, the Wild West.
Yeah.
They're in the beginning stages of even domesticating animals that might be present on the planet, or wiping them out,
Yeah.
as is tradition.
Yeah. Oftentimes these worlds are like one of the few worlds where like they're willing to make deals with Xenos, and because they're not only
not much infrastructure,
yeah, there's no infrastructure, and they're not really monitored by the Imperium. They're just kind of there doing their thing, trying to survive, trying to create a life for themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
Industrial worlds. So this is more like a level of technology. So we had like feral worlds, we had feudal worlds. This is kind of like they've reached the industrial era. They're using machines. So it could be an industrial world.
Yeah. And the Mechanicus don't own these. They can be owned by any lord or planetary governor.
Yep.
And it's just that's their system of where they are in their development.
Exactly. What's next? Night
Worlds.
worlds. So night worlds are where an Imperial night house or a Mechanicum night house is founded.
They train.
Founded or has a base.
Yeah.
Both.
Founded.
Well,
Because usually knights they don't
travel.
They're not
very nomadic. They will set up, and that's our world.
Yeah. Because it's all about like legacy and stuff.
Sacristans will be there, like all of their.
Is that how you say it? It's a made up word. You can say it however the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they're cool. Lots of times people get like that feudal night world vibe, but that's not always what a night world is. You could have a night world
Civilized
on a
night
hive world,
Yeah.
civilized world, whatever. Yeah, mining worlds, pretty self-explanatory. These are worlds that they mine. You would assume like
Very resource rich.
some of these don't have a lot of details, and you just have to assume. But like, so if an agri world, you have to have like, what was it, 80%?
85%.
85% has to be dedicated to that. You could assume that mining worlds, to be classified as that,
Similar
you'd need
thing.
85%.
Yep.
Paradise worlds. We kind of talked about these with the Eldar. But there are worlds out there that are just paradise worlds that the Eldar didn't make.
Yeah.
They're rare.
Yeah.
And usually these are held for like high up people to retire on or to vacation to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get away from the stress of your job.
Yeah. And it's crazy because
The Lord's been gone for 30 years. And, like his entire planet is falling into disarray, but the Administrator's like, well, no, he's on vacation right now.
Yeah.
He's paying off the right people.
Yeah.
Never comes back.
But yeah, these are one of the few worlds like that the Imperium kind of leaves untouched. They intentionally keep them as a paradise world. They don't ever plan on like
disturbing
the peace. Like they're fight off predators or whatever, but they're intentionally keeping it as like a place to go for higher ups.
Now,
Rest
they
and
can also
relaxation.
fight to keep it, because Paradise World can either be a naturally occurring phenomenon. If we know 40k, though, it probably isn't. It probably had something to do with the old gods or the Eldar seeding something.
Yeah.
So again, humans come along, go, by our classification, this is a Paradise World. Let us take this, and then the Eldar are like, that's our Paradise World.
Yeah.
They roam in and just start blasting them off the continent.
Yeah. Now it's no longer. Now nobody wins.
Now nobody
wins.
gets it.
It's burning the whole world. Next one is one of my favorite, Penal Worlds.
Like
prisons.
the penal.
Well, I just figured you would make a joke out of it, and I was just trying to bring us to a higher standard for this here podcast.
No, if you say anything with PEN, I'm gonna make a dick joke.
So, also
Colin
known as
likes penal.
prison worlds. Prison worlds are
You want to go to prison so you can get.
penal worlds are where you were sending all of your less desirables from across the galaxy.
It's Australia.
Australia doesn't exist.
This is the hypothetical Australia.
You've got thieves, even for the most minor things. They have no value to the Imperium other than their labor, so they may go there and they may be working on fixing belts,
yeah.
or they may be sent there to do hard labor, or even sent there as a holding until either a chapter or a forge world or someone comes along to make use of their human material.
Yeah.
It's also kind of interesting. Like, you can have a penal world that is like an industrial world dedicated to manufacturing something, or like a mining world dedicated, or an agri world. Like,
absolutely.
Like, yes, you're like a prisoner or whatever, but you still still gotta pay your taxes.
Yeah.
You know.
Another cool thing that comes from penal worlds is they often do penal regiments where
Yes. Well, the conversion for that is actually kind of interesting. You've got all these people in like orange jumpsuits, and you throw them a las gun, and you say, survive.
If that,
Yeah.
If that I don't know if they have rules still anymore, but they used to have rules where you'd roll like a dice at the beginning of the game, and that would be what they come equipped with. So some were knife fighters, some were like, I forget what they were all called, but like it gave you a different flavor for how the unit worked. But yeah, usually these penal world, like penal legion or penal regiments,
colonies. Oh yeah.
They sometimes don't even get weapons at all.
Yeah.
Go body rush them.
Yeah, exactly.
Take what you can, shoot with that.
Yeah. And to bribe them with, like, if you actually accomplish this, then
you're a suicide squad. Good luck.
Your sentence is complete or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
but it's never complete, Mark.
no, because you don't have a weapon and you're charging an orc.
Who's hungry?
Who's hungry for some
Fondue.
human fondue?
After
I love that you're trolling Christian on a text chat right now. And now he's gonna hear this in a week and know that you're trolling him.
Yeah, but until then, the troll continues.
I just keep getting messages from him like, Eric, you son of a bitch.
quarantined worlds.
So these could be quarantined for a variety of
Yeah,
reasons.
this one's actually kind of cool. You could get some really cool stories.
Let's come
out
up
of
with
these worlds.
3 good reasons
Okay.
that you should have a
I'm
quarantine.
going to steal Eric's, and I'm
Okay.
going to say it's a tomb world, so they quarantined it.
So a Xenos presence. There's a Xenos presence on a planet, and so the Imperium, while they wanted or whatever, said no one's allowed there while they deal with it.
Yeah. Maybe the Xenos isn't a threat. They can't get off world, and they just don't have the resources
Maybe they're
to
studying
deal with
it.
them. Maybe they're studying it.
Maybe it's not considered dangerous enough to like actually put a threat, but no, humanity isn't allowed to fraternize. So
They just don't have time to maybe deal with it right now or
The
whatever.
resources that are too far away that they're like, we just have to quarantine it. We can't.
Yeah. It could even be like this, these aliens have some type of like
disease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pucktroon type situation going on.
Quarantine the
It
puck.
was intentional. No. Yeah.
No? You said no? It wasn't intentional.
Oh, 100% it was.
No, you said no. We know the truth. You've been trolling me this
Another
whole
one
time.
is that there are Imperial secrets or something that the Imperium, like the Administratum, does not want the population of humanity to know about. So instead of letting humanity settle this and use it for another purpose, they just say no one is allowed here.
So it's like a beautiful, nice paradise world, and they quarantine it. They're like, we can't let humanity know places like this exist.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the sign
It has
of
like
some
it has like an old
breakage.
mural describing like the atrocities of the Imperium, and they're like, we can't let anyone see this.
I was thinking in a connection to that was that you just have a world that's like you're driving by. It's got this giant neon sign. It's like nothing to see here, and it's like this beatific thing. It's
Yeah.
like,
Nothing to see
I
here.
guess we'll keep driving.
Well, you know what? They can't stop us all.
Storm Area 51.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
What's another reason that they?
It could be it had some type of demonic invasion at one point, so now it's just quarantined so no one else gets infected by it. Or not infected, but influenced would be a better word.
Well, like Nurgle plagues, or like there's
Yeah.
even just like a psychic resonance
Exactly.
from demons that you go there. It's gonna snap your brain.
yeah.
Yeah, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think
will.
Moloch would fall under a quarantined planet?
To be honest, I don't know much about Moloch. I just know that the Emperor went there. That's
A couple people have gone there.
Okay.
Because it has a very thin, like, reality and the warp are like very close together on that planet. So if
Okay.
ever you want to go into like the warp, it's a great place to do it. So I feel like that would be enough
Yeah.
to quarantine the planet.
yeah, for sure. You don't want people messing around with
Yeah,
that.
you just don't want people like having access to that, even
Yeah.
if they're not going to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that would be enough
Yeah.
of like a chaos presence there.
yeah,
So
exactly.
That got me thinking of other worlds where like great imperial defeats have occurred, where you don't want people to know that those happen. So you
Sure,
want to-
yeah.
Like immediately, I was like, "What about Istvan? Like, what are these worlds that like? There's going to be dead worlds, but there's going to be quarantine dead worlds because it's like no one go there. You can't. You go and you would find like if for example
you'd find remains of like a great battle.
and you'd be like, and we lost. You know,
Yeah.
like oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
No,
There was a heresy?
yeah, I was thinking like that train of thought doesn't really work too well, specifically with Istvan. There are Marines fighting other Marines. I have
God.
to get back to Terra and tell them.
It's a fractured humanity. How will we survive?
Oh man.
There's one guy who did that, and that's the knockoff novel called like Flight of the Eisenstein or something like that. After the Quarantine World is a Quarry World.
So these are basically mining worlds, but they harvest supernatural elements such
Yeah.
as black
So,
stone,
yeah,
spirit stones.
Humans don't mind spirit stones.
We break them
Might-
down into jewelry.
Yeah, we might sell them back to them. Like, I don't think
If that's on
it's
the
a com-
frontier, that would a rogue
Yeah.
trader doing that would make a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
like I don't think it's a common thing, and we're definitely not using them correctly. But just like Blackstone, we want it.
like
but
trying
we
to
don't
plug a
really-
USB into a USB-C port.
Doesn't work.
Humanity's not
Every
using
time you
it.
plug a USB in, it takes 3 tries.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Every
first time is wrong. The second time is wrong. The first time, which should have worked the first time, is somehow right.
Yeah, every time. Like Core Worlds, they harvest some type of supernatural element.
These only like became a thing after like Blackstone Fortress came out.
yeah, and I think
Like it was created specifically for
Yeah, I
the
think that's the
Blackstone.
only example they have.
Yeah.
But you could come up with things like
Yeah.
like what if like you're mining like Wraithbone off of it. Like there's some like
Wraithbone is sung. It's like a psychoactive thing that they Eldar create.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
I don't
but-
think it's a naturally
No,
occurring thing.
but like what if there's an abandoned Eldar city at one point?
Oh, I see what
an
you're saying.
Exudate world that the population died. Now they're trying to mine the Wraithbone and make use of it. Like it's just non-naturally occurring.
It's like a supernatural substance.
Yeah.
Sure. That could be a quarry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just different than a mining world.
Exactly.
Mining
It's-
is natural, quarry is a supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Repository world. So these are worlds that are just giant rent-a-space. What do you call what do you call those? Like
the storage units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. they're just giant warehouses full of storing things. And probably no one even knows what's on that planet. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Not
God.
anymore.
This.
There's like a guide to like advanced hazmat suits of like how to use them and instructions on this on this world. Instead, the planet next door just keeps putting them on wrong. So guys go out into like these gaseous environments are just being poisoned because they can't pull the string to tighten the latch.
Well,
or
they don't
something.
know.
They don't know. The instructions are on another world.
Instructions unclear.
Yeah.
Dick Cotton Zipper.
Yeah.
Repository worlds.
Yeah. Sentinel Worlds.
Another thing that's relatively new. a Sentinel World is like specifically something that's guarding like a stable route.
Yeah.
Like so, like Vigilus is a Sentinel World.
Yeah.
It's guarding like a warp, a trade route, a secure route through the war.
And why this isn't a fortress world, who knows?
Who knows? Because they wanted a special thing because Vigilus is special.
Most likely.
It might be also though because of its proximity to the warp scar, the
And
Cicatrix.
Arcadia is.
Arcadia is not a Sentinel world,
Nope.
I know, but why is Cadia a fortress world?
right?
Which was guarding the Eye of Terror.
Because at that time, that was the designation. They didn't have a warp scar across the entire
But
galaxy.
what makes the scar different from the Eye of Terror? In fact, the Eye of Terror is still scarier because it's a way more stable warp route.
Right. Well, the fortress world is by its proximity. Sentinel worlds are, from what I've read, are more of like what we described at the beginning of the episode with those passageways through. So they're not.
there's
They're
two
not defending
Sentinel
one way
worlds.
in. They may be a strategic point to connect two areas.
It should just be a fortress world.
Vigilus is the only one that follows
Yeah,
its
I know.
description. So flash that out, GW.
Or don't, because we don't need Sentinel Worlds and Fortress Worlds.
Yeah, it's
Trim
a
it
fortress.
down. But, yep, Shrine Worlds are next. So, name's pretty self-explanatory. These are planets that are dedicated to just the worship
Aspect
of...
shrines,
No.
aspect warriors, Eldar.
No. My God.
Oh, it's not super
I thought
simple.
it was simple.
It took me a solid couple seconds to think of something though.
Yeah, they're just shrines dedicated to the Emperor. You know, people
Or other things.
or other things like you could have a living saint shrine world.
to
And
Celestine.
they don't have to be an entire planet either,
It's just like a major function.
or just the only feature, perhaps.
Sure.
Like depending on what it is. There's an example of like when the Astral Knights like defeated the Necron world engine. They built a little shrine on a world, and
For all the fallen.
for all the fallen.
How's that different than a cemetery world?
One is you go there for like actual
Pilgrimages are made to
pilgrimage,
shrine
yeah.
worlds.
Got it.
So like people will make journeys through space
Yeah.
to go visit these holy
Yeah.
places.
And because some of them too will be like, think like the, I don't know, Notre Dame Cathedral. Just like these places where you want to go and like you have to see like the great architecture.
you see the Virgin Mary on the wall
You like
in Patty's.
If I was back then, she wouldn't be a
No,
virgin.
in
What?
the Always Sunny episode where the water stain is Mary on the
Oh
wall,
yeah.
and they start
my
charging
God.
people to go.
What
see
was
it.
the outcome of that? Why was that a thing?
I don't know, but the Father O'Malley pissed on the wall and ruined it.
Oh my god. Yeah, shrine worlds. Places of worship, essentially, pilgrimages, whatever. The final one that they gave is war worlds. So these are worlds that are in a constant state of war. You can become a war world, and then when the war is over,
You just lose your designation.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like a good example would be like Armageddon.
Armageddon. Cadia. Could you say Cadia was a war world?
Yeah.
Was the war taking place on the world? I think that's the designation, though, because a fortress world can be like standing against it. It's still only populated by Imperial holdings. A
Yeah.
war world is like everyone's on it, and it's just constantly churning. Like there's no defending
Yeah.
the world. Like
yeah,
they're on
guess
it.
so.
There's
like
no
Cadia wouldn't be.
yes, because in a war world, there's no like owner. Like
Okay.
the control of the world is still up in the air. You don't
Okay.
know who actually controls it. Correct. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, Cadia would not have fallen.
Yeah.
Xandros.
No.
I know what
Okay.
you said.
Yeah, I stopped my sentence halfway just for you.
But yeah, that's what they define them at, or those are what they have. You could come up with any type of thing. Like if you had
Yeah, these are alternate classifications.
Yeah.
Like, what's your idea for
like
it?
an
Why
Imperial Guard homeworld would be an
Sure.
alternate classification if that's like what they predominantly do. You could come up with anything. Anyone else want to come up with something?
not? No, not really.
Okay. So
Just you.
we've said it a couple times. The way that the Imperium designates things, the way Games Workshop is chosen to, doesn't make any sense. You have planets like, so here's the best example. In their 9 primary designations, they got Feral Worlds, which is it's a level of technology. You have feudal worlds, once again, a level of technology, and then you have industrial worlds, which is once again a level of technology. Why is an industrial world not in this top 9?
So, industrial worlds, because you said it before that it is a level of technology, but it's not necessarily. like its primary description is that it's dedicated to manufacturing.
Sure.
So the level of technology can actually change, but a lot of it is done mechanically.
Yeah.
But it
Sure. Okay, let me
Yeah.
give you a better example then.
But
Agri
no, but you
worlds
do-
and
yes.
mining worlds.
Yes.
Why is an agri world important and a mining world isn't important
Right,
enough
when-
for main classification?
right.
Both
Both,
are
things
important.
are needed
Yeah.
to run the Imperium.
Yeah.
You could just simplify them under one designation of call it a production world, and that would be.
Well, that's
your-
not enough though, because you need to know what you're producing.
Exactly.
What kind of
Well,
kind of
but then it goes
machinery
down the
you
tier.
need to give
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because basically, like, yeah, these don't make sense. When if you're in an administrative position and you're like looking for something specific, you want to be able to classify it simply and easily, so you know what the planet with the closest, what's closest and the highest output, so you can find what you need quickly and then get what you need. So the way we were thinking about categorizing them is they got it right in the first couple of categories. The first way you designate it is what is the planet like? Anyone can
Geography.
know the geography. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can look at the planet.
look at it and
physically and understand, have like a basic
So
understanding.
if we're
of
treating
what
this
it is.
as a 5 hyphen points to describe a planet,
Yeah.
hyphen 1 would be geography. So we've got water dash. What's the next one after geography?
Then you want to go into who inhabits it, whether that's Xenos, Imperium, or potentially nothing, and you just end it there, the classification. So you want to know who inhabits because, you know, you don't need to bring an Imperial Guard regiment to go to a Hive world. You don't, there's no war there. You don't need it. So after that, you need to figure out what the purpose of the planet is. So is it a Hive world? Is it producing food? Is it producing minerals or whatever? You need to figure out what the planet is used for. After that, you want to do level of technology, because depending on the level
that
of
will tell
technology,
you the output for its purpose.
exactly, because you can have an agri world that is in
A feral state.
in the feral state,
So
or a
80
feudal state even.
Yeah.
And that might be a closer planet, or you could go an extra sector over to industrial hive world or industrial agri world
Or civilized agri
civilized,
world.
and just get way more resources for the output or whatever. So that would be the next thing, and the final thing would be any significant features. So this is where I would put, like, if you're in a Starter's home world, that's a significant feature. A shrine world could also be a mining world. You know, you want to have any of these other significant qualifiers that don't really matter, but they still are important. They're not the main purpose of the planet, but they're still important to note. So another example would be a night world.
Interesting though. Let's say you have an agri world.
Yeah,
It is an Astartes homeworld.
yeah,
Astartes homeworlds are exempt from taxes. The only tax they give is gene seed. So then, what's the point of having an agri world and an Astartes? Like, what isn't the fact that it's an Astartes homeworld more important than the fact that it's an agri world at that point?
I know what you're saying. I don't got an answer for you. I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just don't
obviously,
think
yeah, sure.
I don't think Astartes are recruiting from agri worlds, maybe, but they might
But
be.
it's
a
it might
possibility.
just be a home world,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah. I think in like a case like that, like the Imperium's gonna get what they're gonna get. Fuck, they tax you on everything. Like they're gonna get what they want.
When you brush your teeth, you have to pay a tithe.
You have to spit into a cup, and they want that toothpaste back.
That's
To
right.
be used for.
Oh, it's fertilizer.
Oh yes, yes.
yeah, or it's seasoning for the fondue, human fondue.
So
Yeah,
like,
but we think this is like
Yeah.
a pretty decent way
Yeah.
to get like a good description of a planet.
yeah, because there's a couple that they just don't make sense. Like why is a dead world a planet classification and not a geography type? Right. Well, same with it. Well, no, death world, but
The thing is, like, you can have multiple official designations, and that's kind of weird.
yeah,
Like, you can be a feudal research station that is also an agri world,
yeah, or on a death world.
or on a death world,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, it makes more sense if they had created designations that you couldn't have overlap.
Yeah.
And obviously it's like kind of tough when you're talking about something on a planetary scale,
Yeah.
for that, but it just like
This
this could have been done smoother, but hey, that's kind of the Imperium's shtick.
Yeah, it's not quite
Right?
knowing what is happening.
It's kind of enjoyable, the fact that it doesn't make sense, because that's the Imperium.
yeah. Colin has written something in the notes. I'm trying to decipher it.
Oh no, I was just trying to think of the way to categorize. So you would have a water, human, high, low tech, blank world. Like if we're trying to string that together.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a jungle Xenos agri world, which is highly advanced and is
also got a
located
shrine
near
on
a
it.
such a such.
Do you think you could have a Xenos agri world? Do you think you could have, because the inhabitants are going to be like the controlling species, right?
yeah.
So do you think you could cover 85% of a planet's surface with farms and then still say that the Xenos is the dominant race on the planet?
Well, I think you could if you were to say that, a partner alien race of the Tau, that's what they set up the auxiliary with.
I just don't think it would be a human, like it's not a human agri world.
No,
then.
but this classification is how the Imperium is defining worlds, not just their own worlds. Like if I'm looking at the stars and I look at another world,
sure.
how do I define what that is?
Yeah.
Like it's a cataloging system.
I never figured that the humanity cared enough to go beyond Xenos. Like Xenos is Xenos to them. But I guess some like
because you need to
it's
know
not a
why you want
target.
it. It's a target. You need to know why you would want
what's
to take
more
over
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fortress, the Xenos fortress world, or the Xenos agri.
Yeah, just because the Xenos live on a world doesn't mean you don't want to take the world. Because if there's a Xenos agri world, you're like, we need to
That's
feed
fair.
other people.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Tomb worlds too. You could have an agri world and they're like,
On top of the tomb world.
Well, that
yeah,
makes
you're
sense.
like, just don't dig too deeply, everyone.
There's one guy with a shovel just clanks into a Necron head. It like glows for a second and then goes off. And he's just like, whew, I kind of dodged that one. And then the sky opens up and chaos flows down. And you're like, oh man.
Oh man. But
So, those are worlds.
yeah, those are worlds. That's kind of all we had written down. It just kind of when lots of people want to do campaigns and stuff, and these are 5 easy ways to kind of come up with a planet. You don't have to go into like the political structure, and you could go really deep and figure out, the temperatures on a Tuesday, like Colin said. You could figure out all that stuff, but you don't need that. These are 5 simple things you can come up with in your campaigns to just kind of
To flesh out the board, to flesh out like what your
Exactly.
characters or your armies are fighting for. Also, if you want to introduce special rules, like if you have a desert world, maybe you've got things that get hot on a 2 instead of
Sure,
a 1.
sure,
like
yeah.
you can
Exactly.
spruce that up.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great thing to hear from some of the listeners. Is listening to some of these worlds. What are some of the special rules that you would incorporate for that terrain, that geography, that zone, to see how people would say, on a toxic death world, maybe there's acid rain, so every few like there's usually like fog is incorporated into some of the game types where it's like -1 to hit.
Yeah.
What do you do with acid rain? Like what do you do
on a
with
6? Or on a 6, somebody suffers a mortal wound.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely ways to do it. So yeah, it just helps you kind of come up with these cool little game rules or stories or whatever. But we did it. Is there anything else anyone wants to say?
Nice second take, boys.
We did it. Yeah, we tried this and then didn't record, and whew. Is it recording now, Jordan?
Yes.
shout outs to different things that are going on in and around the community? You've got the tournament.
Yeah, check that out. We doing a tournament.
Sold out?
No.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people who are like interested but just haven't committed yet.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like you, Colin.
I'm here today. I've got my money. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, like the sooner you guys like.
Yeah, we haven't really opened it up to like the non-Lorehammer people yet.
Yeah.
But that's kind of at some point we're just going to be like, all right, well, lore people have had the option, so now it's just going to be open to like the Calgary Warhammer community.
So don't be afraid that like if we don't get enough Lorehammer people, the tournament's still going to happen, and we're still going to have a fully booked tournament.
Yeah.
It just might not be all Lorehammer people.
And you might not have the opportunity.
Yeah. But yeah, if you do want to like come in from out of Calgary, like
We'd love to have you.
would love to have you. I know a couple people
We're not
talking
paying
about it.
for your hotel.
No, but
But we will drink with you.
we will.
Oh, Laheim, right?
Well, they're paying for your drinks.
But yeah, it'd be awesome if more people get on it.
Yeah.
Show a little initiative.
Yeah, especially you people in Calgary. There's some people in Calgary who are like, oh, next paycheck. It's like, you can't fucking afford $30 right now, bud.
Well,
you don't have $30.
Where am I going to come up with
Where the
$100,
fuck am I
Julian?
gonna
Now
come
look
up
at
with
this Bane blade that I just got.
Yeah,
You know who you are listening to this.
Oh,
right
it's madness. I don't.
No names. But,
That's funny.
and can I hawk something right now as well?
Hawk
It
it.
better not be cold open stories.
It's Cold Open Stories. September 15th is the end of our next casting call. A Cog and Crimson.
Cool. I just listened to your story. We're gonna do a bonus episode one day.
I need to
about
listen to it.
You do.
Yeah.
It was good. I listened to it the perfect time. I was
did.
on like an hour and a half drive. It was slightly raining. It was dark. It was good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jordan, anything cool happening with you?
No.
Focusing on growing that beard, eh?
Yep.
That's #1 priority.
Beard oil and balm, ready to go.
Rogaine.
Oh, we're going back to bombs, are we?
Oh yeah, I do both. I condition it.
This episode was
different type of
sponsored by Harry's Razors. Are no, they're not a sponsor. They're not a sponsor.
No.
Next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Trevor Uzak leaving you now.
Couldn't have been more awkward.
Terrible goodbye.
It's like you're gonna say like signing out, but it's leaving you now.
Cool.